Hey everyone, Happy New Year and Happy Thursday to you. I'm Pastor Chelsea and I'm so glad you're joining us this week for the Thursday show. Well, last week we started a conversation about habits, which seems appropriate this time of year. This week I wanted to continue that conversation about habits, and to start, I have a question for you. Which one do you think is harder to develop? Good habits or bad habits? Comment the word good or bad with whichever one you think is tougher to develop, starting good habits or getting rid of bad habits. I'm curious to see which ones you see. I know for me this year, I have a combination of both that I'm trying to work on developing in myself. Some of the good habits that I want to develop are reading more, working out more consistently, and finding one thing a day that I can do to clean or declutter my house. Some of the bad habits that I have that I'm trying to work on would be spending less time on my phone, shopping less, and to stop hitting the snooze button. Can I get an amen? So tell me in the comments which one you think is harder to develop, the good habits or getting rid of the bad habits. I'm really curious to see what you have to say. To be honest, I feel like both come with their challenges, but both are totally doable. But it starts with having a better understanding of habits, what they are, and how they work. So a habit is really any process that we have done so many times that it becomes automatic. That's true of both good or bad habits. But a lot of times I've thought of habits as frustrating things, because I'm frustrated that I can't create the good habit, or I'm frustrated that I have the bad habit. But habits are really meant to provide freedom. You see, whenever you have to make a decision, it uses some of your brain power. Am I going to work out? Am I going to eat healthy? Am I going to read? All of those take energy. And our brain is trying to find as many ways as possible to reduce the energy it expends. So when we're able to turn those decisions into processes that become automatic, it saves our brain energy for other things that you would want to use it for. It allows you to be more creative or have more space for just free thinking. Building habits in the present allows you to do more of what you want to do in the future. And so in order to do that, we need to understand how habits work. Any habit has 4 processes to it, known as the habit feedback loop. It has the cue, the craving, the response, and the reward. One step leads to another, and that's what becomes a habit. So how do we create a good habit using this habit feedback loop? Well, we break down each process and find ways to hijack it and make it easier for us. So let's look at that cue, craving, response, and reward again. Cue. With a good habit, you need to make the cue obvious. The craving, you need to make it attractive. The response, make it easy. The reward, make it satisfying. So let's find a real practical example here, a habit that I think many of us are trying to start back up with the new year, working out. How can you make working out a good habit and one that you're more likely to follow through on? Well, let's look at this cue, craving, response, and reward again. The cue, make it obvious. A lot of times when we talk about doing something, we make it very general and vague. And when we say, oh yeah, I plan to work out more this year, we never schedule the time to make it happen or provide the space for it to happen. So making it obvious with our cue is going to help us with that. So let's say I'm wanting to work out more, which I am. How can I make the cue obvious? Well, I can tie it to a habit that I already have or something that I already do, so that when that thing happens, I know time to work out. So some days I like to tie it to arriving home from work. I get home from work, that's my cue, it's an obvious occurrence, and then boom, I go get ready to work out. How about the craving? We make it attractive. Well, working out doesn't always seem like the most attractive thing in the world, but there are ways and things that we can do to make it seem more so. So I can put on music that I really enjoy. I can find a workout experience that's more fun for me. There's so many ways that you can work out. Find one that you enjoy. Also, making it attractive has to do with what we tell ourselves about it. Rather than saying, I have to work out, say, I get to work out and make my body stronger. And I know that it's good for not just my body, but my brain, my spirit, everything about me. So we've looked at the cue to make it obvious. We've looked at the craving to make it attractive. Now let's look at the response. Make it easy. Let's make these good habits easy for us to encounter and then easy for us to do. I found a simple way for me doing that with working out is to simply leave my workout equipment in the main area in the basement so that it's really easy for me to encounter it. It's almost harder for me to step over my workout stuff rather than it's for me to just dive straight in and do the workout. So find ways to make it easy. Set out your workout clothing the night before so that it's all ready to go, making it easy to then go through with the habit. And lastly, reward. Make it satisfying. Make it satisfying as you're doing the activity, and then also make it satisfying and rewarding at the end. Maybe after you complete so many workouts, you allow yourself to get some new workout gear or do an activity that you've been looking forward to, or reward yourself with a hot shower afterwards. Find a reward that motivates you and gives your brain that dopamine hit so that then you want to keep repeating that process. And then the more that you do it over and over, the more it will get ingrained in your brain, making that good habit one that sticks. Okay, so how about the opposite? How about when we have a bad habit that we're trying to get rid of? Well, the process is exactly the same, just inverse. So we'll start with a bad habit cue. We'll find a way to make it invisible, craving, make it unattractive, response, make it difficult, reward, make it unsatisfying. Okay, so for this example, let's look at maybe using our phones too much. I think after the past year, it's safe to say that a lot of us have been on our phone or digital media a lot more than we used to be. So for me, one of mine that I want to do less of is being on my phone just mindlessly scrolling. So cue, make it invisible. I notice a lot of times I'll scroll on my phone after I get home from work and I'm sitting on the couch and trying to decompress from the day. So if I want to make it invisible, maybe when I get home, I immediately put my phone on the charger, so it's in the other room, so it's not so easy for me to pick it up and grab it. Those are ways to make the cue invisible, which then leads to the craving. Make it unattractive. Instead of thinking about my phone as a way to unwind, I want to change the way I think about it so that it's honestly unattractive and kind of revolting to me. See, when I think about how much time I've wasted on my phone, or how spending that time on my phone gets in the way of me having real relationships with real people around me, it starts to turn me off to using my phone in that way. So find a way to make that habit unattractive to you. Then that leads to the response. Make it difficult. This kind of goes back to what we did with the cue, but finding ways to interrupt what we normally would do and making it more challenging for us to do the bad habit. I've even seen they have these boxes that have like a timer and a lock on them, and you can put your phone in it, lock the box and set a timer so you can't even get to your phone for an hour or however long you set the timer for. That's kind of crazy, but it's not a bad idea because it makes the thing difficult or impossible to do. Find ways to do that with whatever your bad habit is, and that will give you so much greater success as you try to break it. And then lastly, the reward. Make it unsatisfying. What is immediately rewarded is repeated, and what is immediately punished is avoided. So find ways to kind of punish that bad habit when it shows up. I think a great way to do this is have somebody who helps keep you accountable. You know, I would much rather not do my bad habit than have to disappoint somebody who's trying to keep me accountable. So that can be a great way to make a bad habit unsatisfying to help you break it. So what do we do with all this information? Well, my challenge to you is that you take it and find ways to put it into practice. I think a really specific and easy way that we can do that is to start by just noticing what habits you have. We all have them, both good and bad. Bad ones we want to break, good ones we want to develop. So let's look at where we're starting from. I want to challenge you to practice this exercise this week and see if it helps you. Find a sheet of paper and just start listing out all the habits that you do in a day. There's lots of them that you probably don't even realize are things that you do automatically. But when we start to list them, we start to notice them, and then we can change them. So start with your morning. Alarm goes off, hit snooze. Alarm goes off, hit snooze. Alarm goes off, hit snooze. You might have to repeat that pattern a couple times like I have. And then get up, brush teeth, put on clothes, look at phone, make coffee, grab breakfast, go to work. Whatever the process is for you, just make note of it. And then after the day ends, go through that list again and note whether each habit is positive, negative, or neutral. You can put a little plus sign, negative sign, or equal sign, depending on which one it is, next to each habit. Then look at that list. There's probably a lot of things on there that you didn't even realize you did. Maybe you didn't realize how often you look at your phone as you're getting ready for work and how much it slows you down. Well, that's a really easy thing to notice so that then you can remove it from your daily habits. If you do this practice of self-awareness, I guarantee it's going to help you get a jump start on the good habits you want to develop and the bad habits you want to remove. And hey, if you do it, let me know. I would love to hear about this process, how it helped you, what it made you more aware of. So shoot me an email. Well, that's what I have for you today, but I want to finish up this conversation next week as we talk about how to set smart goals that we actually are likely to accomplish. It's going to be really good, and I hope to see you there. Until then, I hope you have an amazing Thursday, and I'm so glad you joined me this week. See you later.